In the email, it indicated that the city attorney was in touch with the buyer, but as of yesterday, the buyer had said that no one had reached out to them. So do you have any status update? I know Mr. Silverman, I think it was last week, said it would be wrapped up by the end of, he said the end of the week. I wasn't sure if he meant the end of last week or the end of this week.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have in terms of an exact update, other than it's in process. I don't know if they're working on the title work still, or if they're working on the PA, but everything has been approved to move forward, and I don't know, I suspect by the timing of the email, I suspect he meant next week, because there's no way to get it done that quick.
I thought the same, but I just, like I said, I touched base with the company yesterday and still had not.
Yeah, it's in process. I can have George send an email update out tomorrow to everybody, just to give kind of a status on it.
We'll give the chair to the mayor, or maybe Mr. Baum, I don't know if he's here. Do we have an update with the COVID business grants, you know, the money remaining, when that needs to be spent by, and if there's any other efforts?
I don't see them.
You don't see one? If we could get an update on that, just remaining funds, and I know there was the rental assistance that there was talks of possibly transferring some of that money into business grants, but we haven't seen business grants either, so.
Mr. Chairman, I know that I saw an email.
Yeah.
Did you get an answer to that email?
Not yet.
Okay. I'll send another reminder. I still believe there's a balance in the small business grant account, and I know there's a balance in the rental account. So if the desire of the council is that we want to move that money, I believe we can do that. We may have to set new parameters that allow the date of application to continue.
Yeah, that was, in looking, I don't know when that has to be spent by, but if we have an opportunity to help some of these small businesses, there's some that opened, they didn't meet the original criteria, I think, because you have to be open as of 2020. So something that opened during COVID that maybe struggled, helping those businesses out, or helping ones that have substantial losses. I mean, if we have the money and we can help them, I think we should be making those efforts.
I agree. And Mr. Chairman, I think at times, because in the beginning, I know on the rental assistance, we thought it was a good idea, but I think we had very few, if any, actually come forward and get approved. And I know in the beginning, same thing with the small business grant, but then we finally did get quite a few, and then it kind of fizzled out. But I agree. I think it's a good idea to kind of relaunch it and see if there's new candidates out there.
Thank you.
Before I go to the audience, I would just like to wish my wife a happy anniversary. Appreciate her for putting up with me for 30 years. We have two beautiful children, and she's a great mother, and she's a great mother to my dogs as well. So I just want to thank her and wish her a happy anniversary.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say happy birthday tomorrow to Mr. Councilwoman Boardman. Happy birthday, Councilman. Mr. Mr. Bush.
Mr. Stumpmeyer.
And guess what this is about? Boardman Park. This is actually not for myself. You know, I gossip about neighbors, but I was talking to one neighbor that lives right across Westlake from the park, and they planted the evergreen trees along Westlake there, and the city ordinance guy told him years ago that they were going to cut the bottom of them trees up 3 or 4 feet so people couldn't hide behind them. And I didn't know until I talked to Dave. I guess apparently some of the seniors that are walking that park are afraid people might be hiding behind the trees. So I don't know if that's something that can be looked into, and, you know, but that was, he asked me to bring that up to you. But I don't know, just so you know what's going on down there at Boardman Park, you know, they got the main culvert that comes out from the street. And there's a big grate over it. I'm assuming it's to keep backflow into the storm drain. But people are going down in that storm drain and walking down through the storm sewer. And Dave, when he was there years ago, he said a kid popped up out of the grate by his house. And the city come and welded it down, I guess. But just a couple weeks ago, I was in the park walking. There was a man out there walking with a snake. A great-grandson just loved the snake. He had to have it. And he was telling me he even went down through there. And he said the farther he got, the smaller it got. And I don't know if there's anything they can do to stop that, because, you know, that can't
point to Boardman Park, I know Mr. Stumpmeyer's had a couple of comments. Guido and his team are looking at potentially putting out some of the solar-powered lights like we did at Fletcher. I don't remember, Guido, did you guys have a chance to spec that out yet, and how many, and
It's in Johnny measured, I believe it is submitted, I'll double check that, but I know we have a spec.
okay, so that might alleviate some of those concerns of seniors as well, but certainly trimming up the trees will help also.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, and I never even thought of it, you know, but I'm usually with the grandkids, and we're just trotting along, but I didn't know until I spoke to the older people. One lady, she's really, you know, incapacitated, and she was really scared, she said, to walk out there, but I can understand it sometimes.
Yeah, he likes that,
Okay, as soon as she's done, I'll have them come up.
okay.
Hello, this is my first time here. I'd like to address a major issue, but I would like to request extra time because I'm dealing with a brain injury.
Ma'am, just real quick, I need your name and address for the record.
My name is Rhonda Tharp, and I live in Taylor.
Okay.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Rhonda Tharp, and I'm a living sovereign soul here to address major issue in Taylor, Michigan. The right to travel by human power has been reduced, diminished by the lack of safety precautions, such as protected bike lanes, completed sidewalks all over the city that are free from dangerous overgrown weeds and other debris. The right to travel is an inalienable right found in the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. American citizens have the inalienable right to use roadways unrestricted in any manner as long as they are not damaging or violating property or rights of others. Multiple city employees have informed good citizens from clearing weeds that are from the last couple years. As a result, my friend Ronald Baldwin was injured by vines hanging overhead, on the sidewalk as he was riding north on the sidewalk, end of July 2021. Then he had to have surgery in August, and he has a walking boot right now. So he needed surgery for repair, broken ankle and torn ligaments. The vines knocked him off his bicycle, leaving marks across his chest. A witness told me, Julie, I was told by Larry Bryan that Laney Hall showed up before the ambulance showed up. Larry Bryan pointed out that the dangers of not clearing the weeds. He said, you see what happens, Laney? And from vacant lots, The very next morning, the weeds were removed, My own personal experience, a couple of years ago, I was riding on Goddard, so that's west of Beach Bailey, west of that, before Continental Drive, So there was long vines, and I was wearing a different helmet, but, so I'm on my bicycle, and the vines wrapped around my helmet, I'm gonna try to avoid them, but they wrapped around my helmet. My ride, I was going 10 miles an hour, maybe 12, and so my ride came to a stop, and it's like I had a brake, and then, so it took my helmet, and I got an instant migraine. I'm like hangling, I'm like dangling, and I had to free myself by undoing my thing while I had the brakes on, and it was just crazy. So I had an instant migraine. That day, Julie, parent Winchell, and I went and we trimmed those vines. So anyway, back to my notes. It said, overgrown weeds restrict the movement of people's common law right to travel. Is it a felony or a federal crime to violate or deprive citizens of the constitutional protected rights? Ron has suffered a great deal of pain along with non-economic damages such as quality of life, diminished social pleasure, scarring, emotional distress. Question, is the government immunity just between corporations? We are not corporations, we are living souls, living men and living women. If government immunity protects you from us, we need to abolish that. Doesn't make sense. According to Jeff Jones, the city of Taylor has $7 million of surplus, charging its citizens the max amount of taxes. Thank you. According to Ed Barroso, we are putting way too much money into the TIFA fund. The council folks, and do whatever you want to do with it needs to go to the citizens of Taylor, not to be spent on a $1.25 million welcome to Taylor sign. And for everybody's information, TIPA is tax increment financial authorization, or whatever it is. The city of Taylor residents need complete full sidewalks, okay, everywhere. Everywhere there's allowed to have automobiles, we need to either have bike lanes that are protected, or we need to have full sidewalks. We can't get from, say, Wendy's to across Telegraph, okay, because there is no sidewalk. We have to go into the street. And there, major ditch, there's like major issues. The city of Taylor residents need complete full sidewalks and multi-use paths over the city's protected bike lanes, a wide pedestrian bridge that crosses over Telegraph Road, shared road signs, users education for like drivers, okay? We need like, I don't know, do all drivers know that 3-foot distance between the bicycles and the cars? And Dearborn has a 5-foot distance, okay? But I don't think drivers know all that. You know, they have like road rage and they hate to see bicycles in the road.